In this video, I will demonstrate how to imitate cardinality for pointers using the constraints and how to return values using the asynchronous call. So I have a meta model of the logic gates. Basically, this is the my submission from the homework 3. So you can see that I have a logic circuit, and logic circuit contains gates, input, output, and um, input and output, and a gate contains port. Port is an abstract type that has an output port and input port. Gate is an abstract type that has two abstract subtypes, one input gate and two input gate. One input gate has two types or two subtypes, buffer and not. Two input gate has two input gate has subtypes or and nor, NAND, XOR, XNOR, input output port. I have provided an URL in the Piazza post, so from where to download this model file or this meta model file. Okay, so let me kill the WebGME. So yeah, prerequisite for this project for this video is that you must have a WebGME app running installed and running on your system, and also make sure that you have configs as config default.js. I think it's open somewhere. Good. Yeah, you have these two lines added to your folder. All right, so now okay, let me start the WebGM once again. So I want what I wanted to what I want in this project is to add the constraint on my so that the pointer cardinality I will define, so that each gate will have port of the each gate will have only one input. So let's see some of the example. So in this example you can see that signal A, input signal A is going to the input port of the AND gate, but you see I can also do like this. So I but that so this input port has two input signals, and that does not make any sense, so I don't want to do this. Also you can see that this is a dangling input signal that is not connected with any of the gates. I can have it like this. I can have a gate like this that is also not connected with anyone, so I don't want this either. And I can have a gate with ports, but these ports are also not connected to each other, so I also don't want these things. So how I'm going to achieve this? So we will use constraints to imitate a kind of the cardinality for the connections, so that each input port will receive only one type of the connection. For the output port, I don't need this kind of thing, because outgoing connections from the output can be multiple, and this is totally valid. For example, I can have things like this, and this is totally valid, right? Okay, so for that I have created three types of the constraints. uh, in gate I have unconnected constraints that will basically check for a gate that whether it has any input ports defined, input and output ports defined or not, and then it will check whether input and output ports are connected or not. So let's see this code in the note in the editor. So this was um, unconnected port, yeah. So this is my constraint JavaScript file. Basically I have copied it here. So you can see I have declared some variables to get all the attributes of the node, and this is for to check, this is to check the meta type. If the parent meta type is the logic circuit, then only I will check for the constraints, otherwise I will not check for the constraints. And this portion demonstrates like how I am going to use asynchronous call and return the value at the same time. So I will declare a function here, and this inside this function I have I'm loading a code dot load children, and then here I'm not returning the callback. Here I'm just calling a function, and as you can see that this function um, is basically returning the callback. So in this way I will be able to return the callback results. If you don't do this way and you directly call like this way, go dot load children, then it's not going to work. It will not update, it will not update this result. So this is the way we are going to do asynchronous callback. Also um, also you can see that I'm checking for the get collection path. So if the collection if the collections are greater than 0, then it means that, like, if the children has, if the gate has more than one children and these children have like incoming connections, more than one incoming connections, then that's invalid. And if gate does not have a children, that is also invalid. So you see where I'm going. I'm trying to check for the connections. In this way I will imitate um, whether number of the cardinality for the ports is like the incoming connection is more than 1 or 0, or whatever the specified number I give. So this was the one this was the one constraints. My other constraints in the input port, that if the incoming connection is more than 1, then I should flag an error. So, and this is basically using the same syntax for the asynchronous callback results. And there is a one constraint on my input to check whether there are dangling input signal or not. If the input is not connected, then it should flag an error. Also I have provided a additional checking that input signal should have a name, and it should not be just white spaces. White space means like enter, or just a space or a tab. So yeah, so let's see how this works. In composition, like you see, this is a dangling pointer. Now if I check the constraint, oh, by the way, you should while loading the project, you should add this constraints add-on, and in the valid plugin list you should select the constraint evaluator. So let's see, there is a dangling input signal that is not connected to anything, and there is an input, and there is a gate that is also its input port, output port is not connected to anyone. So let's check. So okay, so input path is not connected to any logic gate, right? And input port width has more than one incoming connections, which is not allowed. Okay, so, and buffer, for gate buffer, output port with path is unconnected. So you see, so all the three types of the invalid cases you see here. So this was the one. Now I delete this thing and delete this and delete one bus more here. Yeah, so now let's run it. So now project is valid. We can similarly run for the entire project. Check constraints for entire project. So right now project is valid. Now let's see, I just put it like this. Yeah, check constraint for entire project. So project is invalid. NAND with path MA has no port defined. So it provides also the path, so that it will help you in the diagnostics to find out where is actually the error. So I think that's it. Just as a last, just to revise once again how to use the asynchronous call to return results. You will first declare a variable like this, which is basically a function. Inside that function you will make a callback, and to return the result you will call another function, which basically will be another kind of the callback, and that will send the callback results. These things are all available in the Piazza post, so you don't have to worry about this. You can see the code there. Thank you.